What's up guys, it's your host Spartanic Arts DxD back with another high school DxD related video. And today we have What If Issei Left Part 8. Already coming out, I know. Quick with this one. Let's try to hit 500 600 likes once again. That'd be absolutely amazing. And if you guys want to know exactly when I upload my upload schedule, click the little blue button right next to the subscribe button or the first link in the description. Or if you're in the premiere right now, which I know at least 100 of you are, please click the like button. I would appreciate it, as well as click the first link in the premiere as well to know exactly when your boy starts uploading. So once again, thank you for all the support. It's been absolutely amazing. Remember to go subscribe to my other second channel, which is Palpalski, 58,000 subs. Fallen DxD, you know, we got a couple thousand on there. My TikTok, I got 38,000 now. That's pretty cool. We're pushing 40k on Spartanic, 40,000 people. That's crazy. Thank you so much for the support, man. Without further ado, it's going to thank my balance breakers, Aunt Lewis, Lachlan Yates, Jordan Patchout, Night Ammo, Refeek135, Slow, the Black Dragon Emperor, Keep Saying 21, $5 Sake, Viewerwish Tech 3347, XRX108, Ziki 2000, Liliana Gorko, Chaotic Raven, Selvix, Mazaku, Dr. MOG is the bomb, Grimfire Shot Gamer, Ryuga, Beta Joe 98, Insor Responder. Thank you so much for becoming a balance breaker. And before anything else, I just want to thank everybody for the support once again. I really do appreciate it, and I'm not going to sit there and hold you guys, but this part is pretty good. Okay, so tune in, you know, open your ears and all that good stuff, man. Once again, hit the like button. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and roll into Part 8. Chapter 17. Human World, the Hyoudou house, now in the room of Asuya. It was very early. The sun filtered through a small opening in the room. The owner of the room was still asleep, but it seemed that she was not dreaming of something very good, because she moved from one side to another. She gasped. It seemed like she had a horrible nightmare. Now, in the dream of Asuya. Everything was dark. There was no place that was covered with the darkness. Asuya was in the middle of that darkness. She had her eyes open, staying alert in case something happened, but nothing happened. Suddenly, a guard came down from out of nowhere, hands, and then covered her mouth and dragged her back. She tried to fight and screamed, but his hand prevented her from making much noise, and he was too strong for her. She tries to use her demonic powers, but nothing comes out. Not her sacred gear, not Fafnir, just nothing. She then realized that she was in what looked like an alley. Everything was covered in darkness, despite her being a demon. She could not see anything. In the air, she could feel the charismatic smell. The smell of rain. Asuya stopped caring about the environment as she felt a breath on the back of her neck. This scared her. Her body did not react, neither did her powers. Another band appeared, but this was not on her mouth, but her chest. This head began to touch one of her breasts, as a male voice that sounded like an adult in his 30s to 40s was behind her. Now, starts licking Asuya's cheek. Look what we have here, a nice lady. You have to take advantage and play with her, right, guys? As the man behind her increased the speed of his hand and was fondling her breast. Asuya's whole body trembled when she felt the tongue of the man, but what caught her attention was the most of the wordplay. She knew its meaning, so with all of her strength, she tried to do something. Of course, her first instinct was to use her powers again. Forgetting that it didn't work the first time, once again, nothing happened. Just nothing at all. Nothing worked, so she started to struggle again, hoping to break free, but her efforts began to fade as she heard steps that caught her attention and another voice that didn't sound friendly. Don't struggle. You're going to enjoy it. It's done for a long time, so today I'm going to have fun, another voice said. But unlike the other two, this voice seemed so much younger. He sounded to be around 20 to 25. You have to do it quickly, before the girl's armor knights come and the second guys come forward and grabs Asuya by her chin, making her look at him. But his features remain unclear. Tell me, do you have a knight? He leans closer to her face. The first guy who was holding her loosened his hand to her mouth. Tell me, the second guy asked in a sadistic tone. Fear took over Asuya as her tears began to flow and a great impotence began to corrode her, as fear and the negative feelings therefore the gaze of a man. She could not say a word. Oh, smiling as if he knew the answer. It seems not that you have fun. Well, the guy behind her took her hand from her, and the guy in front of her kissed her. Asuya, feeling the man's disgusting lips, tried to get away, but then she felt how the man ripped off her shirt. It was then that Asuya broke away from the man holding her, tried to scream, but was tackled by the man that was kissing her. Landing her on the front, she was forcefully turned around to face the man. Seriously, after what you did, you should be grateful that someone wanted to have fun with this body of yours. As he pinned her down, but I'll put a treacherous witch like you in her place. Asuya then received a slap from the man with incredible strength and force of the slap he put her into. Asuya then woke up. from her dream. Now in the real world. No, no, no! Screaming, jolting up from the bed. Ozzy looked back and forth, frightened. She saw that she was the only one inside her room, but the fear did not go away. She was afraid, and without moving from the bed, she scanned every centimeter of her room that she could see, since it was dark out, but being a demon gave her the ability to see in the dark. But the contrary to what expected, nothing happened. Everything was kept silent, a silence that instead of calming her, made her alert and scared more. Calm down. Grabbing her hand. Calm down, it was a dream. Just a dream. Tears began to come out of her eyes, a horrible dream. She started crying into a nightmare. Her crying increased. Nothing is real. Nothing is real. Nothing. She continued to cry. Quiet. It's okay. You're safe. I'm safe. There is no one that can hurt you. Nothing. But something told her that was a lie too. No, it was real. No, that was real. Sobbing once again as her fate has been sealed. Sometimes dreams are a small glimpse into the future. Ozzy stayed in her bed for a long time, trying to calm down. Now, a while later, Ozzy had calmed down enough not to cry, but part of her still had a great fear, so try to calm down. She tries to call to Sanji, or at least talk to someone, but to her bad luck, no one answered. She remembered that she had not spoken to Sanji since Friday. Today was already Sunday. So basically, no, the past 10 chapters have happened in the span of 2 days. Friday was when Issei entered the prank, or endured the prank, beat up his former perverts, former parents, and Sanji, and held the meeting. Saturday was all of the chapter 16, the rituals, and gaining his ability. There were time skips to progress the story along with a little quicker, just FYI. Ozzy was confused because Sanji had not contacted her 2 weeks ago. He contacted her in the afternoons after school. Ozzy left with many feelings, among them with doubt. So she would try to relax. She decided to go for a bath. Ozzy came out with a shirt that covered a large part of her body and went to the bathroom. The corridor was silent. There was no one. That was strange, because usually Rias, Akano, and Ravel should have been awake, but Ozzy decided to downplay it. Wandering the bathroom, she looked in the mirror. Her reflection seemed normal, but for a second, the reflection seemed her crying with some bruises from her skin, especially one on her left cheek, and her hair was tangled with a smiling shadow standing behind her. Ah! Letting out a scream, seeing that reflection and taking a few steps back. But when she looked in the mirror again, there was nothing. It was only her. Suddenly, Ozzy felt someone put their hand on her shoulder, and she turned around quickly only to see Konako. However, she had some big dark circles under his eyes. Ozzy-senpai, is there something happening? Konako said in her monotones, but this time she seemed very tired. No, Konako-chan, I'm fine, but are you okay? Asuya said, worried for her kohai. Yeah, I only couldn't sleep well. Tired from the lack of sleep, Konako said. And why is that? Confused, but thinking, did she have similar dream as me? Nothing in particular, but for the past 2 days, my appetite is not the best. Seeming calm, but on the inside, I feel afraid to use my Nekomata powers again. But why? And this chest pain doesn't either, Konako said. I see, but still thinking, I guess that's true. But I can't get this sickening feeling out of my chest, Asuya says. Both took off the little clothes they had and went to the bath. Now, 20 minutes later. Both sat quietly in the bathtub and no one said any words. Their body relaxed, but in silence they began to hear some noises from the door. Huh? What is that? Asuya said in a low tone, as to not be discovered by whatever was outside. She noticed that the sounds were coming closer to the door. Konako, Asuya said, turning towards her, only to find her dozed off. She's asleep. I guess she didn't really sleep that well at all. So she moved to awaken her. Konako-chan, wake up. I'm already awake, Konako said as she rubbed her eyes. It seems that something is happening in the hallway, Asuya said, looking at the door. Let me see. Feeling a sense of dread as she used her yokai traits, but overcame it as she listened outside. It's only Byochu-senpai and Akano-senpai, Konako said. Huh? Are they arguing? Asuya said. No, they were just talking about volley, and their talk escalated quickly, Konako said. I see, Asuya said, but really, come to think of it, Volley-san hasn't come by either. She turned to Konako. It would be better to leave. I'm already getting hungry. Oh, she came out of the water. I'm also hungry, Konako said, coming out of the water. Both came out of the tub and dried up into the door to the bathroom opened, and in front of them was Rias and Akano talking. He said that? Oh. Seeing Asuya and Konako, good morning, her frown turning to a smile. Alright, good morning, her tone becoming happy to see the kohai. Asuya/Konako at the same time, good morning, returning the greeting in unison. And why are you up so early, Rias said. What time is it? Asuya replied. It's 5:58 in the morning, Rias said, looking at a clock that was on the wall. Guess it is early, Konako said, back in her normal tone. That's true. Usually you wake up on Sundays at 6:30. It seems today you got up early, Akano said with a smile. I'm going to get dressed, Konako said, preparing to leave. Me too, Asuya replied, following Konako and leaving as well. Azia was approaching her room, but saw Ravel come out of her room. "Oh, hello, Azia-san. Good morning." Her tone was also tired. "Hello, Ravel-chan. Why are you so tired?" Azia said, confused, as usually Ravel wakes up early and never seems to be so tired. "Yesterday I tried to communicate with my mother, but she didn't answer me. She ended up answering at dawn, so I will go to the underworld next weekend to see if something happened," Ravel said. "Why did she answer you so late?" Azia replied, confused and had a worried feeling. It seems that she was very busy, or at least that's what she said, finally able to see Azia clearly and realize that she's in a towel. "Oh, sorry. You're going to your room," Ravel says, feeling embarrassed for interrupting Azia. "Oh, don't worry. Besides, there's nothing better than a bath in the morning. It makes you feel relaxed," Azia said, trying to deduce Ravel from any negative feelings and being cheerful. "No thanks. I'll take a shower. I have to be quick," Ravel said. "Okay, bye," Azia replied. Azia closed the door to her room and sat in her bed, because something seemed strange today, as if she may not see Ravel for a while, but after much tonight, she came to the conclusion that it was nothing and just clan issues, Azia thought in her own head. 6 hours later, Underworld, the Leviathan Mansion. In the mansion, the 4 Maos were in the office of the owner of the mansion. In the office, there were 4 large sofas in the center, a table with tea, food. Each Mao was on the sofa except Serafal, who was in her wheelchair. "Still nothing. It's already 12, Surzek said, worried and suppressing a yawn. Serafal sat in silence, and very uncharacteristic for those that didn't truly know the Mat Leviathan. Her eyes closed as she remained in thought. "Stay calm, Surzek. I'm sure he's fine, though he wouldn't be the one to be worried about." His tone was serious while taking a sip of his tea and stealing a glance at the Leviathan, Ajuka says. Serafal said nothing. She looked like she was asleep by how deep in thought she was, but she knew she could hear them. Falbum, on the other hand, was indeed asleep on the couch. "Yes, I know he is fine, but I cannot help but worry," Surzek said, serious, and turning his gaze to the ceiling. Grafia starts. Surzek-sama, calling his attention to give him a cup of tea. "Thank you," Surzek replied. "Ajuka and Surzek, there are still many things to do." "What steps have you done?" Taking another sip of tea, Ajuka finishes. "I already communicated with the Olympians, the Hindus, the Asgards, and the Egyptians that there will be an important meeting within a few weeks," Surzek says. "And I have taken care of informing Yakuza of the meeting," Grafia replied. "Well, I have told Sarika, Latita, Iruka, Sara-Org, and Riser about the meeting," Ajuka says. "I will inform Sotan about the meeting, making her presence known, but keeping her eyes still shut," Serafal says. "Well, I expected Siravika to accept the meeting. I am surprised about Latia and Ryuka, though I am not sure if Sara-Org or Riser will remain cool-headed," Surzek says. "Sara-Org only wants to challenge Rias again, and show her how inferior she is without Issei," Ajuka says. "That was to be expected, but I recommend that he waits until after the meeting to set the challenge and let the Alliance decide their punishment first," Grafia says, filling up the cup for Surzek. "I agree. Though we may not use the challenge as a cover-up, I'll have to see what the other factions think about Riser. Wants to keep as far away from Rias. It seems that he hates her so much that he does not want to even tell them anything," Surzek says. "It's to be expected. While he would want to kill her for what she did to his self-proclaimed rival, and it seems that the Phoenix clan will be handling an issue, as I have informed that Ravel will be visiting the next weekend," Ajuka says. "I'm sure they can handle it and provide a suitable punishment. Until the meeting, which reminds me, Sirikivi-san, Latia-san, and Aruka-san are unaware of what happened to Issei. When they do, I know that Sarika-san will be upset, as she has a good friendship with Issei. I'm not sure how Lasita-san and Ryuka-san will feel," Grafia says. "That is true, but I see Sarika to keep her emotions in check, but that will be for the future," Surzek says. "Moving on, nothing new yet," Ajuka replies, deciding to change the topics. "No, nothing. No one knows where his body went, nor if he's still alive," Surzek says. "The best thing is to find him if he is alive. I don't think he can do much, but we have to be cautious," Ajuka says, taking a sip of his tea. "Yes, I don't think we can do much more of that. We have to know what happened," Surzek says. Ajuka looked at the silent Serafal, who seemed to be waiting for something as she sat at her desk. Surzek, "Are you sure that Issei will send them here?" Ajuka says. "Yes, I'm sure," drinking some of his tea as well, after sparing a glance at the silent Mao at her desk. Despite being in a wheelchair, which she sat as if it were her throne, that Mao sat at her desk. Switching from having her arms crossed to leaning towards the desk, her elbows rested on the desk surface, popping up her arms and resting her head on the intercrossed hands. She was now wearing a sleeveless dark purple dress that had a slip up her right leg. The dress had the C3 emblem in the light pink color all over the dress, and hem of the dress that had cotton fluff on it. Sarah-chan, are you sure you gave him the right coordinates? Ajuka says. Of course I did. I am not one to lie like Sir Zex's sister. Sorry if I have offended you, Sir Zex, opening her eyes and turning the aforementioned. It's not a problem, Sir Zex says, as the two men sweated a little, hoping not to feel the Leviathan's wrath. The three other people in the room, not counting Valboom, who was still sleeping, figured that she would be worried the most out of all of them. She is handling this better than I expected, but looking over to the side of the desk to see some candy wrappers, that's not healthy, with a small anime drop of sweat at the Leviathan's eating habits. Sarah-chan, you seem calm about this situation, Ajuka says. That's true, Sir Zex replied. Did you expect me to throw a childish tantrum, Seraphol says, as she began to expel her aura. They are so stupid that they didn't notice her potential sugar rush from the candy wrappers, Graphius said. Well, Seraphol said, releasing more of her order and dropping the room temperature significantly as they could see their own breaths. Would you like to answer the question? She had a tone of death, as she released some murderous instinct as well. No, forget it, we said anything, as Juka and Sir Zex said, trembling, while Falbium still remained asleep. Sir Zex-sama, Ajuka-sama, could you leave me alone with Seraphol-sama? Graphius said. Yes, of course, dear. Come, Ajuka. Let's go look for something to eat, Sir Zex says, getting up from the couch and dragging Ajuka. I don't want anything to eat, Ajuka says, snapping out of his stupor to fend off Sir Zex. Ajuka, if we do not leave, it is possible they will kill us, Sir Zex says, speaking in a low voice, though it didn't matter, since the two women had devil hearing, so they could hear what he said. Well, I am feeling a little famished. Come on, Sir Zex, let's go find something to eat. Good to you, day to you, ladies, Ajuka says, giving a quick bow, and now dragging Sir Zex instead, who was stunned by what happened, since he was dragging Ajuka earlier, as the two left the office. Graphius said she didn't get to finish when she saw Falbium wasn't there anymore. When did he leave? Graphius said. You shouldn't worry about him. He mostly looked for another place to sleep, watching the only occupant that remained in the room besides her. Graphia couldn't help, but let out a small chuckle, in which she stopped as Seraphol's gaze turned cold. What's so funny? Seraphol said, with a dark tone while watching the silver-haired queen. Forgive me. Just makes me laugh to see you in this dilemma, taking a seat in one of the chairs that was in front of Sir Zex's desk. What dilemma? Seraphol says, raising an eyebrow, but still keeping her cold look on the woman in front of her. You think I didn't go through the same thing as you? Graphia said with a small smile. Ah, yes, how could I forget, Seraphol said, softening her gaze and toning down her power, which warmed back up a bit. The Devil's Civil War. I know, and I understand you, Graphius says. Do you think you can help me? Seraphol says, leaning back in the wheelchair and placing her arms on the armrest of the chair. I don't think so, but I'm not the best to explain and advise you. Placing a finger on her chin to think. If not you, then who? Seraphol said. Sofita-sama would be the best option, Graphius says. My mother? Wait. Was it Velena-san that helped you? Since you went through the same thing, was it your mother? I cannot really ask my so-called in-law for advice. Saying the word in disdain as she remembered what Issei's mother said in choosing some girls that she only knew for almost a year, and the exception being Irina, since they knew in her and Issei's childhood over her own child. Oh, it was Velena-sama. She was the one who helped me, and technically she would be your mother-in-law, not Miki Hyoudou, Graphius said. I see. And that's right. Issei-kun basically traded off his birth parents like they traded him. Well, it's like the Hyoudou's loss. I wouldn't be surprised if she was walking to remove the Hyoudou name from Issei, so they can never claim anything from him. Would I be Seraphol Gremory or Seraphol Biel? Graphius. Seraphol finished. Already looking forward to marriage, I see. Well, you may be stronger, but if you hurt him any more than he already has been hurt, I will come for you, Graphius says. No worries. I believe the fallen angel Rainier Rias has given me enough examples of what not to do. When it comes to Issei-kun and as for marriage, well, he better have a harem by then, because I would like to feel my legs for the consummation of the marriage. I'd like to feel my legs in the morning after. I am beginning to get a tingle in my legs, so I won't be stuck in this for 2 months like I originally thought. What a relief. Breathing out of a sigh of relief that she may get her legs back sooner rather than later. In time it will get better, Graphius said, laughing at Seraphol's predicament. Breaking out of her serious composure, I suppose we shall wait for Sir Zex and Ajuka-sama to come back with a smile. Graphius says, oh, that's right. I'll have to apologize to them, Seraphol said, face-filming herself at the previous actions. Well, I'm sure they'll apologize first. Yes, you have to apologize, Graphius said, running back to her serious mode. I liked you better when you weren't not so serious, Seraphol said, frowning at Graphius' change in attitude. Just take care of my little brother, Graphius says. Don't worry, I will. And all the women that fall for him, I will make sure they do the same. I don't want to see him like that ever again, Serafal says. I feel the same, but I do feel better to know that he is in good hands this time, Graphius says. You didn't trust Rias? Serafal says, a bit confused by Graphius' statement. To be honest, I felt her spoiled nature would cause her to make a mistake, and it seems this was the mistake, Graphius says. Not only that, I expected more from Gabriel, Serafal says. I have a feeling that it had to do with Irina, since she was an angel, Graphius said. That so-called childhood friend of Issei, Serafal says? Yes, I think something led astray from her faith, which she convinced Gabriel to do what they did, Graphius said. Regardless, it all leads back to Riast. Isn't she not close with the blue-haired knight, Serafal said. Zenobia Corda, they were partners. She's quite dense from what I've heard, Graphius said. I think that density just cost her a real man. They also ruined another relationship. Since I know my sister's queen and bishop liked blonde pretty boy, Serafal said, it seems Otototo is rubbing off you, smirking the nickname that Serafal gave to Kiba. In more ways than one, Serafal said, smirking right back at Graphia. I do not need the image in my head, Serafal-sama, returning back to serious mode, Graphia said. Serafal laughed as the two continued to talk about tribal things, moving away from what Rias had done, but both women did wonder where the two super devils went. Now, somewhere in the mansion, this is good, Ddraig says, while eating a piece of cake. Indeed, such an exquisite flavor, Ajuka replies, eating his own piece of cake. The two were in the bakery of the mansion, eating cake and talking amongst themselves without any fear of angry women coming upon them. In the house of Pyamon clan of the underworld, Father, I have a very interesting rumor. A handsome young man with a pair of red eyes came into the study of his father, Lord Pyamon. And what was that, Claus? Lord Pyamon says. It seems that Serafal is no longer a virgin. Looking a bit annoyed, Claus said. That damn girl. First, she did not want to marry you, and then she did something like this? Lord Pyamon said, very upset about the actions that were done. So what do? Claus said, looking towards his father. In a while, we go to the Leviathan mansion to see if it is true. But do you know who she had sex with? Lord Pyamon said. I'm not entirely sure, but the rumor said that he was a brown-haired man with very pale skin. So he looked like he was sick, and his eyes were very dull, Claus said. I see. For a minute, I thought it was the hero, the Oppai Dragon. But it is not possible. If he were here in the underworld, we would already know. He never goes without any of his harem, Lord Pyamon says. It's true. He already had the harem that most demons would cry if it was him. I would not mind. She deserves her happiness, with a smile on his face, Claus says. That is true. He is a worthy partner for the Mao to be with, so I do not understand how Serafal-sama would have sex with someone. Apart from the childish behavior, the only thing that she has is his body and her status, nothing more. Unless she has gone back to who she was in the war, Lord Pyamon says. Yes, I heard she was dangerous, having elevated her water magic to the ice magic. She was truly a force to be reckoned with. Then she became that childish magical girl. But you're right, her body is incredible, so I will kill the bastard that defiled her, Claus says. Don't worry, son, we will get to the bottom of this. She will be yours, Lord Pyamon says. Now, in Tanin's territory. So what do we do the plan for now, Fafnir, in his dragon form but human-sized eating a golden apple? I don't know. I'll wait for the meeting, I'll see. Maybe temporarily join with the faction. I don't know. While eating his own apple, Fafnir finishes. So are you willing to leave your title, Tanin says. No, none of that. I would only help out, but I don't know which one. He seemed absent-minded and pondering about something, Fafnir is. How about the angel faction, Tanin says. Why there? Fafnir replied. I'm sure they'll need to get an inside loss of Gabriel. The news that the Dragon King joins up to them. It would help beneficial to Michael, Tanin says. And why not the underworld? Fafnir says. Easy, I'm already here, Tanin says. Well, it's good that I got a backup plan then, Fafnir says, shrugging his shoulders. What did you do? Tanin says, knowing of Fafnir's mischievous side. Nothing. Just hid the downfall dragon spear in your gift box. Still not caring about what he just said. You did what? Tanin says. He was incredulous about what Fafnir just fed. When we went to her room, after feeling that stench, I knew that she could not be my partner again. So I took the spear as we were leaving. I left a copy so that she would not notice. You put your trust in Issei, so I will do the same. He will find me a new partner. Whether he or she is a demon, angel, fallen angel, yokai, Valkyrie, god, dragon, or whatever, I trust his judgment. He looked seriously at Tani. I was going to be by his side anyway. If she had not done what she did, I would have by his side. But unlike her, I will stick to my honor and promise, Fafnir said. Guess he grew on you, Tanin says. Seeing Fafnir not in response, well, let's hope he's alright, as the two finished their apples in silence. Draig's cave, the human world. Darkness was what dominated in the cave. That darkness was accompanied by an aroma silence. With that silence was Issei, who had awakened a few minutes ago, but he didn't move or even make any sound. He was just enjoying that silence, the peace that came to him in these moments. I feel weird, in a faint tone, Issei says. That sounded like a whisper. He tried to move, but his body did not respond to him. He was injured, but when trying to do something, he felt a strange pain. I better stay this way, Issei says, in a tone devoid of emotions, as he felt defeated by not being able to move. He gave up on doing something, sank back into the silence, and darkness of the cave in his mind was the only one that was active. Many ideas, questions passed from one place to another, but there was 3 that were constant. The first was the feeling of immeasurable emptiness that he felt. It was as if in indifference. He did not know that it was emptiness. The second was his body. He remembered that in the ritual he had been wounded, but he did not feel any wound in his body, but he did feel the dried blood that ran through his whole body from his feet to his head. The third was the boosted gear. He didn't feel it anywhere in your body. Nothing. He tried to sense Ddraig, but he could not. Rather, neither his presence nor his power and aura. It was as if nothing was there. It made him feel if he were alone again. But all thoughts stopped when he felt a small pulse in his head after a well-known voice. "Shit, that hurts," Ddraig said. He sounded weak and tired. It was the voice of Ddraig, but this was not a normal tone of voice. Despite being in a tired state, it sounded deeper, like a rumble, but he did not think much about it, so he quickly attempted to communicate with Ddraig. "Ddraig, are you there?" Issei said with some worry. When he finished thinking about those words, Issei noticed his tone and transmitted concern, but strangely he did not feel it. This worried him. If he changed to an emotionless husk, "Yes, I am, partner. Now, how are you?" Ddraig says. He may sound tired, but there was some worry in his tone. "I don't know. My body is acting strange," Issei said. "Well, that worked," Ddraig said with a little more energy. "So it seems," Issei replied. "I can hardly stay awake anymore, so you have to be fast. Stretch your left hand," Ddraig says. "But I can't," Issei says. "You can. The pain you have is phantom pain from the ritual. Moving a little should be enough for you," Ddraig says. Issei listened to Ddraig and tried to move. It was difficult, but not impossible. Little by little, his stiff arm was moving until he stretched it out completely, along with his hand. He began to do the same with his right hand, while taking deep breaths, but remembering the pain that was only in his mind. Beginning to do the same with the rest of his body, finally turning over his body. So he was lying on his stomach. "Damn, I still can't stand," Issei says, annoyed that his body still did not fully cooperate. He dragged himself little by little towards the small fire to set over near the magic circle. When he arrived, he noticed that his suitcase from the academy was open. He looked at it briefly and began to take his notebooks out and throw them into the fire, and in the end ended up throwing his whole suitcase into the flames. "I'll get a new one when I return. If I can use the area where this is faster, maybe I can progress my training." "How much faster is it?" Issei says. "That will save you some time. It would 3 times as fast as the outside world. So 1 week is 3 weeks in there, but it seems we are in luck for once. It has been amplified for 5 times faster. I also want you to explain what happened during the ritual," Ddraig says. Well, what happened was, beginning to start to explain, after the explanation from Issei, "I see. It must have been very difficult. You have a noble heart. I'm very impressed. You really matured," Ddraig says. The dragon was becoming sleepy, trying to stay awake. "Ddraig, can you explain what happened to you?" Quietly watching as the fire he felt come from his warmth. "That can be for later. But first, what you have to do is send the pieces to Seraph," Ddraig says. "You're right," Issei replied. Issei began to look around him, a small smoke glow that attracted him, and he looked closely to see the pod pieces were located there. Issei crawled towards the pieces, and when he took them, he noticed that there were not 8 pawn pieces, but 9, and that Rias's pieces were a little different. "Ddraig, what is this?" Issei said. "That 9th piece is all compressed power of Orpheus, but I don't know what happens to the others," Ddraig said. Issei began to play with the pieces by looking at them carefully, trying to discover what happened to him in the pieces of Rias. They're plain red, not crimson-like, but out of nowhere, the information went to his head, making him let out of pieces. Feeling a headache, emerged to receive. "Partner, what happened?" Ddraig said. Issei remained silent as he processed everything that came to his mind. "Not much, just felt like Jiko left me some things." "Such as?" Ddraig said. "We can worry about that later. I have to look for the book that Odin gave me," Issei says. That will be difficult, because as you can see all of those things that are around here, they are things that you had stored in the boosted gear. They were expelled. Now that the gear is assimilating its new power, maybe the expulsion of the power caused the increase of time to go faster, Ddraig says. I see. Well, the only thing that I have left is to search. After a short search, here it is. Here she is, Issei says, lifting the heavy book that Odin gave him. What do you need the book for? Ddraig says. According to the information that Chico left in my head, at the moment I do not have enough power to send the magic pieces normally. What I have to do is draw a specific transfer circle which may not consume as much power. But after I send the pieces, it seems that this thing is a great possibility that I may be faint. Well, do it fast, because I don't know how long I can stay awake, Ddraig says with a very tired tone. Okay. As he starts looking for the page that should have the magic transfer circle, after finding it, he quickly began to draw it on the ground with some of the heart of a pencil. After finding it, Alright, I finished, Issei said, but he received no reply. Guess he couldn't stay awake. Well, I'll just have to send them and everything should be good on my end. At least they'll know I survived. He put his hand into the circle to activate, but his body began to shake uncontrollably. Is this fear, Issei says? Issei stopped and sighed and put his hands back into the circle. Not anymore. I don't have to be afraid of anything, Issei says, with determination and seriousness in his tone, willing himself to activate the magic circle. By pouring what was left of his magical power into the circle glowed a bit, but out of nowhere it began to blink with a flash. Issei lost consciousness and fainted. However, the pieces has now been transferred. The mansion Leviathan, and now the underworld. So now we're in her mansion. In the office, Seraphil and Greyfield were still talking. On the snack table, a transfer circle that was dark red appeared. The circle flickered several times as both women turned their attention to it. From the flickering circle, some objects flew out and some landed in the cup of tea that Seraphil had left on the table, causing it to splash out. What the? Seraphil said, moving her wheelchair towards the table. Seraphil-sama, here. Giving her a towel, Seraphil took the towel and cleaned the mess to help Greyfield, who sat in the chair and picked up the cup. Well, what was that? Seraphil said. Greyfield looked up in the cup in usual stoic expression and turned to a surprise. What is it? Seraphil said, seeing Greyfield's expression change. Look, getting up from the chair and walking to Seraphil's position, showing the cup with 3 pawn pieces, 2 red and 1 blue. They're the pieces, Seraphil said, surprised as well. Yes, I'm going to look for Ajuka and Sekiryuutei-sama. I'll be back, leaving the room. Seraphil went to check in the area for other pieces and took around the cup with the 2 more pieces. A small smile formed her face. It was a smile of happiness, but some had some sadness. I will wait for your return from now on, Seraphil says, my dear, in a melodic tone. At this time, Seraphil heard a noise and saw how Falunin was sitting in front of her. How you know that? I don't want to know, Seraphil said, continuing her search for the remaining pieces. In some corridor in the mansion, Sekiryuutei and Ajuka were wandering the halls, taking in the design of how Seraphil decorated her mansion. Who knew Seraphil had a knack for interior design? These paintings are magnificent. Sekiryuutei says, I agree. She definitely pays tribute to the Leviathan with these sea serpent paintings. I wonder what it would be like if we were on our own side. It's a pity. They are extinct. Remember when he faced Sufume, Trihexa Leviathan, the daughter of the original Leviathan in the Devil Civil War? If she didn't choose her position, honor, and pride over her life, maybe things could have been different for the Leviathan clan, Ajuka said. Yes. If there are any descendants of the old Mao out there, I hope that they are significantly different from their ancestors. Unfortunately, we've been stuck with nothing but arrogant bastards. Gazing at the painting, marveled by the creatures. Out of nowhere, a door in the hallway opened and Greyfield stepped out. She turned the direction and she walked towards them. Sekiryuutei-sama, Ajuka-sama, the pieces were sent, Greyfield said. That's good. All well that ends well, Ajuka says, continuing to stare at the paintings. Both mouths were enhanced by the paintings around them. Ajuka-sama, there is something weird with the pawn pieces. She could not finish her sentence as a green blur passed her doors as she came from. Why didn't you say so? We must hurry, Ajuka says. Let's go, dear. Walking past his wife as he got out of the trance as well as was something wrong with the pawn pieces. Right away, Greyfield says, following her husband and the green-haired Mao. Now in the office of Seraphil. The 3 entered the office. Each went to Seraphil's desk as she now had all 9 pawn pieces in front of her. What happened? Sekiryuutei says. The pieces arrived by a very unstable magic circle. It was due to the lack of magical power. Issei must have lost consciousness after sending them, Seraphil said. What is so weird about the pieces? Ajuka said. As he stared at the pawn pieces at first glance, it didn't look like much. Look for yourself. Gesturing to the pieces in front of her, Ajuka walked closer and took upon one further speculation. He noticed something. Amazing. The pieces changed color. I still feel and see the original demonic power, looking at all the sides of the pawn pieces in his hand. So what is weird thing that happened to them? He pondered a bit before he came up with the hypothesis. What is it, Ajuka? I have a hypothesis of why they changed color, but I have to investigate more thoroughly, Ajuka says. Apart from that, it is not only a weird thing. Look at this blue piece, giving him a blue pawn piece, Grafia says. That is not an evil piece. It is the power that has been compressed from the form of said piece, Ojuka said. The only thing that it could be is the power of Orphis, as he knew that she involved in Issei's betrayal, Ddraig said. Indeed, she remained serious because of the Dragon of Infinity turned her back on the one that saved her. I'd say this is a good sign that even Orphis herself would have problems to tranquilate his whereabouts unless Issei is close to his peace, Ajuka says. But her clone, on the other hand, Serafal says, leaving the statement open-ended. Yes, based on what Issei said is with Great Red. Though she was found of Issei and based on Dragon Instinct, she may become more protective of Issei since Orphis's power is her power. The same would apply to her. Regarding this piece, we should hold on to it, in case she wants it, but I will study it, Ajuka says. Well, this confirms the wellness of Issei, which just leaves us with one thing left. Ddraig says, you mean those human girls, Serafal replied. You would be correct. What do? We must tell them not to expose the girls, at least until we do something. It could be disastrous for us, which watching Issei's encounter with his birth parents, it is clear that girls lie about Issei's achievements in order to gain their trust. It would not surprise me if they do the same to the other leaders just to protect their infidelity, Ajuka says. I'll speak to so-and-so about the matter, Serafal says. That could work. But remember, they have a recording of Issei speaking on the matter. They could release it at any given moment, plus the incident that occurred in Issei's classroom, Ddraig says. I agree. Since the carrier of Vitra opened his mouth about it, they know that the girls were unfaithful, as the people in the classroom know. And through his word of mouth, it can spread the reach of ears in the girls, and the recording they have of Issei will confirm it, Ajuka says. You're right. I will speak with Sotan about the matter, and I will handle it without exposing the supernatural world. On the plus side, I looked into those girls. They're quite popular themselves, so if Sotan can convince them to wade the storm, they can get the others to keep quiet as well, so the girls will never know, although they may experience some resentment, but that's natural, Serafal says. Everyone in the room was surprised by Serafal's analysis, but thinking about it would keep Serafal busy until she was reunited with Issei again, and they knew that she was already had resentments towards the girls, so systematically, waiting for their suffering would distract Serafal for the time being. It's a good suggestion, since we cannot erase their memory nor take away the recording. We did not delete the video off the student's phone, Ajuka said. We did delete the video off that student's phone, Ajuka continued, which Sona took a copy of and explained the situation to the student of why she did it. She told them how that she did not want the incident to spread, but she would resend it back to them in a matter of time. Apparently, the student wasn't much of a fan of Genshiro Sonji, saying the name in disdain, so seeing him get his ass handed to him from Issei was satisfying. So Sotan had requested videos from Tobio-san when he knew, and Dulio trained, the two gave a compilation of Issei kicking his ass. Of course, rendered and edited to not show anything of the supernatural. Now the student is a fan of Issei's and promised to keep quiet for Issei's sake, Serafal says. That's good news, Ddraig replies with a smile. Guess we will have fans in the school upon his return. Falbium remained snoring on the couch again. So it is decided. I will speak with so-and-so, and we will hold the meeting to discuss the absence of the pillar, to which everyone who was awake agreed. Once they came to an agreement, discussed a few things in the time, and regards preparations for the meeting, each one of them left Serafal alone. I suppose it's time to call Mother, Serafal says, creating a communication circle. Hello, Okasan, do you have time to talk? Serafal says. Hello, daughter. Yes, I have time. Is there anything you need? Safita says. Could you please come to my castle? I want to talk to you about something, Serafal says. Very well. Give me about 5 minutes and I will get there. Okay, I will wait for you, Serafal says, as she canceled the communication circle, ending the call. Serafal let out a sigh, but she called one of her maids. Carla, Serafal says. Yes, Serafal-sama? Appearing in front of Serafal says, could you please have the garden prepared? My mother is coming and I would like to speak with her there. Understood, Serafal-sama, leaving to carry out to her task. Never thought I would be back to this, twirling some ice magic around her fingers, but Issei-san asked this of me, so I will honor his request, Serafal said. After a while, Serafal thought of many things, such as her magic girl program and her rise to the Mount Leviathan, when her mother appeared in front of the desk. Hello, dear. How's your day going? It's been well, Oka-san, letting out a sigh. And what do you want to talk about? It's better if we went to the garden. You want me to help you, Sophia says? That'd be much appreciated with a little blush for needing help. Both women went to the garden. Sophia helped Serafal be seated at the table, and she sat to the opposite of her. I have some things I need help with, Serafal says, and that would be... I feel weird, Serafal says. How so? For one, I cannot put my magic girl clothes on without feeling that I look bad. I cannot act as I did before without feeling that I should not act anymore. I just feel weird. It's like I cannot see myself as the old and new me. Serafal says, I knew it, Sophia says. You know what's happening to me. Yes, don't worry, it's very normal. So what is it, honey? You were a girl just had to experience that in essence transform her into a woman, smiling at her eldest daughter. I don't understand, Serafal says. My dear, at this moment, what do you want? What do I want? I don't know. What is it? Raising her hand to her chin to think, until she raised her head in realization. I want to see Issei-san, Serafal said, looking away shyly. What else? I want him to see me as I am. That he tells me that he thinks of my clothes and that he hugs me. She paused. A big blush came over her face. Go on, Sophia says, egging her daughter to speak her mind. I want to kiss him again. I want to feel him again. I want to take to a bed and do it again with him. Confronting him that I will be there and confirming that I will shield his heart from those who wish to harm him, looking in defiance at her mother, creating an ice shell to emphasize her point. Well, look at you. Your feelings towards Issei. Your mind and body want to feel him, be with him. That's something normal. You want to see him as you two had sex. You let yourself go and both your feelings took over. It caused your relationship to take a huge leap. Explain a little more, Serafal said. Of course. As I said, it is normal. Something similar happened to me, as it does any woman, because hormonal and mental, it happens after having our first time. We feel more like an adult. We worry about how we look, how we express ourselves. We begin to change towards maturity. The exception is this world of the grimoire of your own former rival. She claims she loved herself, but yet opened her legs to his rival, and I bet she is clinging to the thinking of he is the one. But yet, she opened her legs to another, your sister's pawn. If what he claims is true, they think that they know what they want, but it's only lust, and sure, sex may feel good, but they have something that's longing. They may never have, but you do, Sophia says. What do I do? Serafal says. What do I have to do? Serafal replies. Easy, just be yourself. Change as you want, do what you want, look at you now. These past days you're showing a little more skin in your clothing, nothing wrong with that. But you also have a defiant look. Something that I haven't seen since I saw your training. Your water magic to evolve to ice magic, so I can say you are doing a good job at being yourself. You were hiding behind that childish personality, but you took more out of the pigtails, and I must say I'm very proud of the woman sitting before me, and always have been. Sophia says, really? Serafal replies, yes. I know you've always wanted to change, and you wanted to revert back to the woman in her position as the male Leviathan, your true self. You found someone to accept you as you are, smiling. I see. You're not telling me everything, are you? Haven't you felt anger? One question, Sophia said. You are correct, Oka-san, letting out a sigh. Today I happened to be incorrectly upset when they questioned me if I was worried about Issei-san, if they expected me to throw a tantrum rather than remain calm and have faith in him. It is to be expected. Little by little, you've changed. So while they have used to your true self before, they are also used to your former personality. So it will take time for them to get accumulated with your real self and actions. Ah, I see. I forgot to apologize for them for the outburst, Serafal said. Out of nowhere, a scream was heard in the distance. Sir, Miss Serafal-sama is busy and cannot be interrupted. She is very upset by the intrusion as followed two people. Older man and young man that look to be about 20 and 25 years old. Gentlemen, you cannot enter. If you have an appointment, please wait in the lobby. Damn maid, you don't know who I am. Lord Perman said, you dare to get in my way? Clearly annoyed. Sir, I know who you are, but I can't let you pass. I would like to talk to Serafal, please, Claus said, hoping to use his charm to persuade her. Sir, she was interrupted by Sophia. It's all right, Carla. Let them pass. What are you doing, Oka-san? Looking at her mother. And we're going to stop there for now. Now, hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Or this little, you know what I'm saying. Come on. Yeah. You know, this took a fat minute. I sat down and just decided to record again, because why not? Am I right? So, basically, I wanted to thank everybody once again. Your boy's back. I'm back for good. I'm on the grind, and here we go. You know what I'm saying? So, if we could hit 500 to 600 likes once again, that'd be absolutely amazing. I'm probably going to upload this the same day that I'm recording it, which is the 17th. So, 5 hours from me now, we'll have the video uploaded at 6 p.m. And I will, obviously, I let my channel members know already. So thank you so much for all the support, guys. I really do appreciate it. Like, thank you so much. Once again, Impopowski is doing still good, and Spartanic's doing good, and we're all having a good time. So, yeah, thank you guys so much for the support, man. And I'm not going to speak any longer. Thank you to my balance breakers and my breakers on stick members. You know, thank you to all you people. You know, you really do help. My birthday is in 3 days. It's the May the 20th. So, that's cool. Yeah, so, oh, there was a person in that comment section saying that his birthday was in a couple days too. I think his name was Tony. I think he said it was the 24th or the 23rd, so happy birthday to you too. But thank you so much for the support, man. Without any further ado, Spartanic Arts, Dixie out.